Welcome to Joa Fitness Health Wellness Video Podcast, a space to ignite your day through positive conversations. We bring people that have created excellence in their life, sharing high vibration in their reawakening path.
Hello, happy Friday, my friends. My name is Joa Rivas, and I welcome you to the Joa Fitness Podcast. Every Friday, we post and publish information about how to heal our back, especially because we are sitting for long hours and it's an epidemic affecting us all. And it's important to know how we can reset our body and how to retrain our brain. And today we have Vincenzo Romualdi. He is actually sharing 4 topics with us, and today is our second talk, and I feel so much comfortable to talk to him because we already had a conversation last week and we share about traumas, toxins, and issues that can affect us and how we could apply 3 techniques to release our stress. So hi, Dr. Vincenzo, how are you?
Good, Joa. How are you?
How do you like my Italian accent?
It's great. Spot on. Happy to be back.
Yes. Italians, yeah, we have so many Italians in Toronto. We are here actually in the city of Toronto, welcoming a springtime and excited because in the springtime we get to reconnect to the nature and to walk outside. Last week, we actually talked about 3 of the techniques that we can apply every day to connect to our body and to release stress. One of them was to walk outside, take a walk, simply take a walk. Not much of a stress. You don't need to run to really get the benefits of moving. So we also talk about how to set your sleep hygiene, how to sleep in a proper position. And we also share about the cold exposure and the heat exposure. That's how actually I got to connect to Vincenzo. So Vincenzo, how was your week since last week? Everything is moving nicely on this new season?
Yeah, everything's really good. I'm welcoming the warm weather today. A bit rainy out, but definitely better than snow. And looking forward to the springtime and new beginnings.
Yes, exactly. Look, if this is the first time that you're listening to our conversation, Dr. Vincenzo is actually someone that has traveled the world to be able to accomplish his education and his academics. He actually studied in New Zealand, very far away from Toronto. He took a flight and he took the Chiropractic College right in New Zealand. And tell us a little bit more, why New Zealand?
I actually didn't plan on going to New Zealand. It kind of fell into my lap. I had applied to a bunch of chiropractic colleges around the world and got into a few here in North America. I believe I also got into applied to the one in England, but then also applied to the one in New Zealand. So I applied to a bunch and I got into a few, and New Zealand was the one I ended up choosing because I spoke with their recruitment officer for 3 hours on the phone. And not only did he sell me on how amazing the college was for students, but how amazing New Zealand was for travel. And so I love to travel and I wanted to become a chiropractor. So it was kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Wow. So what city was it? Auckland?
Auckland, yeah.
Oh, nice. I've been there. I was there in 2015. It was very nice. It was actually November. It was the beginning of summer for the South Hemisphere. And I got to walk around the city of Auckland. I remember it was a lot of hills, so great to work out only by walking over there. Beautiful water, like plenty of space to connect to the nature. And yeah, beautiful experience to be able to live there. So how many years did you actually live in New Zealand?
I was there for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Just over 4 years.
Awesome. Wow, that's a great experience. I'm sure you had amazing experience with the Kiwis and their culture. Now, Dr. Vincenzo, he actually studied on the University of Waterloo here in Canada, and he had his bachelor degree in kinesiology. Very interesting blend between kinesiology and chiropractic school. So tell us a little bit about how you blend the kinesiology and the chiropractic.
Well, kinesiology by definition is study of human movement. And so when marrying it with chiropractic, you're really focusing on the biomechanics of the spine. And last time we talked about the stresses that your spine can go through, not just physical stresses, but also stresses like emotional, chemical, and toxin stresses. So those stresses, when applied to your spine, it affects your spine and the spine's biomechanics. So what I'm after as a chiropractor is how your body moves relative to your spine, because your spine is what controls or what protects the central nervous system, right? Your central nervous system being your brain and your spinal cord. And just like the skull protects the brain, your spinal column protects your spinal cord. So that's what I'm all about, is making sure that there's no interferences between the brain and body connection by addressing the relationship between your spine and your spinal cord and your nerves.
Mm-hmm. Creating an impact in every client, every patient that you have. We wanted to know from last conversation, how do you actually take your patients on the very first consultation? Because not everyone, like when I've been seeing my chiropractors back in the day, when I had scoliosis when I was 15, and I saw many chiropractors in Venezuela, in Chicago, in California. When I lived in the US, I saw chiropractors in Toronto. Everywhere where I go, I always visit chiropractors. But nobody, so far, I can tell you, nobody has taken me into a deep awareness of my habits. Like normally they just see my physiology and they see my body and they do some adjustments. Some of them have done acupuncture and do some nerve therapy as well. But nobody, to be honest, on my entire 20 years doing receiving the therapist, nobody has done a questionnaire related to my lifestyle, for example. So tell me a little bit more about how you create this holistic approach as a chiropractor.
Yeah, of course. So a lot of people view their health based on what they can feel. And about 10% of your nervous system is allocated to feeling pain. So how you feel is not really a good idea of how your body is functioning and its ability to heal. So what I do with new patients is I'm a firm believer in teaching them exactly what I'm doing and how it's helping them. I'm not sure, I can't speak for other chiropractors, but that's just what I like to do myself. I know from previous patient experiences that when they went to previous chiropractors that they were not getting taught why the adjustment was necessary or what it's doing for them, not just in the short term, but the long term as well. So the first visit really entails me getting a very good idea of the stresses that have been put on your body, not just presently, but from the day you're born to now and everything in between. Because if you think about the analogy with a camel and the straw that broke the camel's back, unfortunately, in today's society, we focus on the straw that broke the back and not the rest of the straws that got there in the first place, right? So what I do is focus on everything, the straw that broke the camel's back and everything underneath it as well. Kind of like most people focus on the tip of the iceberg and not what's under the water, right? So it's a big buildup of things. More times than none, when you have an issue, unless it's a one-time trauma, it's a buildup of stresses over your life. Could relate back to a motor vehicle accident when you were younger that didn't heal properly, and because of that your body adapted and you're not moving as efficiently as you could, and your body's compensating, right? Your body's very smart. You'll always see right here on the horizon. But if you have a shift in your spine to the left, for instance, your body will not stay here, right? Your body will shift somewhere else to make sure you're right back here. And those misalignments or those adaptations to the initial stress can cause an interference between the brain and body balance. So in the initial visit, I take a very in-depth history. I ask them exactly what they are wanting out of care, exactly why they are coming into the office in the first place. More times than none, it's because they have an underlying condition such as a scoliosis like yourself, or low back pain, or sciatica, or headaches, right? I treat a number of different conditions, but my objective is not to treat their condition. My objective is to make sure their body is functioning at their best, so your body can deal with whatever you're going through, any stress coming your way, whether that be part of your condition or just part of a normal day life. You're dealing with that stress at your best because your body is so resilient, ready to adapt, ready to heal and function.
Now, something that we actually talked last week was about our habits. Actually, that I think that's a big part of what we do, because actually habits are the actions that we take every day and become so natural that we repeat them, and sometimes these habits are actually affecting us. So I understand one of your main ways to address the underlying issues of a physical injury or a discomfort. It comes from breaking old habits that created this type of dysfunction, if it's not coming from an actual accident, right? So how do you actually, do you have a questionnaire where you find out about these habits, or you just come more of on an interview way? Like, how do you normally address this?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. So when a new patient walks in the door, I'll give them some paperwork to fill out, their name, who their family is, if they had any family, issues that are related to the problems, what stresses they have been through, why they're presenting, what they're feeling. So that we do have a very in-depth questionnaire so we can guide the conversation. But when we look at the questionnaire, we're focusing on those 3 T's again: traumas, toxins, and thoughts, right? For the most part, I'm going to be addressing traumas because that is what I'm trying to implement. The old habits I'm trying to break down in your system is a physical habit of your spine that's adapted to these 3 T's. But in doing so, I'm able to make room in your body for a new habit to form. And that new habit is a more resilient spine and nervous system communication. So you're able to, again, have that brain to body connection flowing at its optimal and being able to deal with any stress that comes your way. So the habits.
I think people probably are, let me just stop you there. People probably are asking themselves, these habits that we normally learn through our life, as you said, these habits could create traumas, it could create negative thoughts, it could be perhaps anything that self-sabotage our integrity or our health. And could you mention, like, number 1 habit that you constantly see happening on the normal, the nowadays people's life, like any particular habit that we need to break and we need to create a new one?
Yeah, and I think it's pretty prevalent in today's society, but that's posture. And I know it's a hot topic and there's a lot of different views on it, but posture in today's society is a big concern because a lot of people, especially with now in technology and the new wave of technology, their posture is always right here, and like we talked about last time, when your head is forward of your shoulder, the weight of your head, which is about the weight of a bowling ball, is no longer taken by your body, but it's taken by the back of your neck for hours and hours and hours and on end. And these are where these habits are formed. These structural habits, at least, is through these repetitive stresses over and over and over and over again. And eventually that can lead to chronic issues, chronic pain. So it's my job as a chiropractor to address these habits, not just in the office, because what I do in the office is just as important as what you do and the changes you make at home, away from the office, at work, because it's those things that you did at work, at home in the first place, that has brought you in, that has formed these bad habits, that's formed these sometimes self-sabotaging habits, or habits that no longer serve you or your health or your purpose.
Mm-hmm. So definitely, in that particular point, we can actually remind people that definitely we do have, more or less, we do have a head forward posture that can create an imbalance in the body, a shifting your center of gravity. And this one, sometimes a neck that is positioning in a wrong position is actually will affect your pelvis, right?
Yep.
It will go down all the way to your feet, creating a compensation and an imbalance in the body. So your body has to adapt to this new way of moving. Right. So how can we do in this case? Actually, this week I've been talking a lot about the head posture, forward head posture, in my channel, posting some of the tips of what to do with the forward head posture. Anything in particular that you recommend people to practice to be able to retrain those muscles that are overstretched because we're looking at the computer or we are actually having the phone all the time on our hand?
So a great tip in terms of computer usage, you want your monitor, unlike I am doing right now, unfortunately, but you want the bottom of your screen to be eye level. That way you're forced to look a little bit up, which will promote not only the normal lordosis or curvature of your neck, but also help to keep you in that upright posture that you want to assume. And so if you're looking slightly up, that's the ideal posture to be working in. And you don't want the screen off to one side, because then you're doing this for hours or this for hours. And you don't want to add that added tension. You want the screen to be directly in front of you with the screen at the bottom of your eyes. Now, obviously a standing desk would be better because, like you mentioned, posture is not only affecting your neck, but it also affects your pelvis. And I'm really glad you brought that up, because a lot of people in today's society, especially with the lockdowns, they're sitting a lot more often than they normally would. And when you're sitting, it creates an imbalance in your pelvis because you have tight muscles in your front, weak muscles in your back, and it creates an anterior pelvic tilt, which again is poor for your posture. So the tight muscles specifically, you have weak muscles in your front as well, but the tight muscles specifically in your front are your hip flexors. So some great things to do is when you're sitting for a long period of time to make sure you're stretching your hip flexors. And because you have weak, tight hip flexors, then you would have weak glutes or weak butt muscles. And so some things to focus on re-engaging or strengthening would be your glutes or your butt muscles. And then, so this is referring to a syndrome called lower cross syndrome, where you have tight and weak muscles front to back that cross over, right? So you'll have tight hip flexors, tight low back muscles, weak glutes, weak core. And interesting study that I just read over last week said that people with chronic low back pain or with those interferences along your spine, they don't have a feed forward activation of the core. So let me explain that a little. What feed forward activation is when you go to move a limb, when you go to move your arm or move your leg when you're walking or picking something out of the cupboard, your body knows you're about to move your arm or your leg, and it sends a message to your core to brace, to engage muscles to help stabilize your spine. And what this does, when it stabilizes your spine like that and you move your leg, then your spine is ready to take the impact of your leg moving. It's not a large impact. It's a mini whiplash, if you will, but because your core is stabilizing your spine, you don't experience that mini whiplash. But what research has found is that when you have those vertebral subluxations or those interferences along your spine, or people with chronic back pain, the brain is not sending those feed forward activation to your core. And in doing so, every single time you move a limb, your spine is experiencing a mini whiplash. Every single time you move your leg, every single time you move your arm, a mini whiplash. And what we know from these poor habits that develop over time is it's repetitive stresses over long periods that is going to get you, that you don't feel until it's too late, that you don't feel until that straw breaks the camel's back.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So that is related to how we walk and how we actually affect our core as we walk. And you were just saying before about the glute activation and how to fire them up is something that I can share a quick story about my body. I'm always very curious about how I'm feeling because the scoliosis, it really made me very sensitive. I could feel pain on my neck, on my lumbar, on my lower back, everywhere. So I became very sensitive to where I feel pain. And in 2014, I actually, I micro tear my right adductor. And somehow last year, I start feeling the pain again. And from last week, I've been actually working out with more awareness of my glutes. And I actually realized that my left buttocks was not activated properly. So now, very interestingly, from last week to now, I have less pain on my adductor, and I feel like my body has a little bit more of a force, equal force. From my left side specifically, I feel like it was kind of numb. So now when I'm exercising, I'm really putting more attention in my left side and in my right, both sides, but I'm actually trying to wake up more of my left side. For some reason, I was not activated. And I see a difference on the sensation. Like you say, having the feeling of pain is what actually sometimes wake us up and say, hey, something's happening to our body, but it's not always the only indicator that we have to exercise or we need to create attention into our body. But sometimes we have to wait until that moment when you start feeling that pain that comes in our body to be able to do something. But thank you so much, Vincenzo. I know that your time is gold and the time of all the listeners. So thank you. I hope you guys had as much fun as I have within the call, being able to learn about the blend of kinesiology and chiropractic in the practice of Vincenzo, where he actually takes you into a deep understanding of not only your body, your physical body, but your emotional body and your intellectual body. And it creates this holistic approach to find the underlying issues that can be affecting our body right now. So Vincenzo, anything else that you want to share in the talk today?
Yeah, you just mentioned a point about pain and how most people don't seek better health until they're in pain. And what I urge everyone to do is don't wait till you're in pain to be healthy, because by the time your body is feeling pain, it's screaming at you, and the rest of your body has been in a crisis for a very long time. So get healthy now, don't wait.
Totally. You don't have to wait your body to cry it out. You can just simply be aware and create that intuition, right? That intuitive connection. So for next week, we're actually going to be talking about the importance of healthy brain-body connection and how to attain it with Dr. Vincenzo from Toronto. If you guys want to know more about Vincenzo, he actually has a YouTube channel that he gives you little tips and changes in our habits. Every day he posts short YouTube where you can actually get techniques that you can apply right away. You can also find him on Instagram. And by the way, this weekend, are you going to come with us to the Goodbye Beach cold plunge?
Where is that located?
Oh, you didn't know? Okay. Everybody, this Saturday.
Oh, it's the biggest cold plunge in Toronto.
Yes.
Yes, I heard about this.
This Saturday is April 2nd. We're gonna go to Woodbine Beach and we're gonna jump into the Lake Ontario, and we're going to go together to learn the love of cold exposure with breath work. So I'm excited to meet a bunch of crazy people like me that love to expose their bodies to the cold weather, to be able to become resilient and to become the captain of our breath, like really putting our effort into breathing. So are you coming?
I will try my best.
Yeah, that will be fun. That will be fun to meet over 100 people when I meet there. So that's the last invitation today. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, Vincenzo. Next week, we talk more about the brain-body connection and how to create more of that healthy pathway of life. Thank you so much, Vincenzo. Have a beautiful day. And remember that together we are stronger.
We invite you to subscribe to this channel and share with your community. Please leave comments below, and if you like the episode, click the like button. Have a beautiful day.